What's good, everybody? Timeless Traveler here, and welcome to my How to Redstone series, where we talk about all things redstone, from basic components to advanced circuitry and wires and whatnot, the do's and don'ts, the technical aspects, the cans and cannots, everything redstone will be in this series. So don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and slap that notification bell if you want to stay up to date on all future content. Now, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get on with the episode. And on today's episode of How to Redstone, we're going to be going over Basics Part 5. We're going to be going over our doors and trapdoors, our trapped chest, and the hopper. All right, so starting with our doors and trapdoors, let's just take a look at the info right here. So all wooden variants will open and close by hand. The iron counterparts require redstone. All of them will open on the rising edge of a redstone signal, and they will close on the falling edge of a redstone signal. New terms we're going to be going over today. The rising edge is the moment when redstone changes from off to on. Okay? And then the falling edge is going to be the moment when redstone changes from on to off. To put that into practice and provide a bit of a demonstration, here we can, as I mentioned, all wooden doors we can just open kind of manually. As you see here, wooden doors, fences, trapdoors, everything can be opened manually. The iron ones, however, will not. They require a redstone signal. The wooden ones can also take a redstone signal, and if we see here, the rising edge is that moment when it turns on and then it powers to opening up the door. The falling edge is when it goes from this on to off state, and that's also when our doors close. As you can see here, the iron ones can in fact move if we use redstone to interact with them. Nowadays, we use observers to detect the rising and falling edge of a redstone signal, but way back in the day, there were much more complicated machines at work to do what's called edge detectors. But an observer nowadays will do that for you. It will observe the change in the redstone signal and output a signal based off that update. So if we turn this switch on, it's going to detect the rising edge. As we see, it reacts the moment it turns on, and then it detects the falling edge when it turns off. All right, and then the next one is going to be our trapped chest. It generates a redstone signal when opened, and its signal strength is determined by the number of players using it or opening it at once. And a Bedrock exclusive, just like all containers, it can be moved by a piston or sticky piston. So focusing on the front here, we'll notice that if me as one person tries to open it, if we look in that right side real quick, you can see that the redstone signal is in fact on over here. Okay, but it doesn't actually extend out more than that because I'm just one person, and we can see that it does in fact power that. Now, if we want as one person to create a stronger circuit or a stronger current, then of course we would use a repeater. So it's going to take that one signal, and then it's going to just repeat that max signal strength, and you can see that this is now lit up over there. And then the next one we have is going to be the hopper. So if we take a look here, it will face all directions except the bottom. It is a container that can transfer items into either another hopper or another container. It has a transfer rate of 2.5 items per second. It has 3 actions: collect, push, and pull. Collection gathers item entities from the space above it. And push, when it's pushing, it pushes an item into a container that it is facing. And pull will pull an item from the container above it. It can create vertical and horizontal hopper lines. It can be locked using a redstone signal and unlocked by removing a redstone signal. And when pushing vertically, it will be overruled if a hopper is pulling from below, and it can turn on certain container blocks such as furnaces, brewing stands, jukeboxes, etc. And then, of course, the Bedrock exclusive is going to be that it can be pushed or pulled by pistons slash sticky pistons because it does register as a container. That is a very useful thing to have on the Bedrock edition. So if we take a look here, the hopper is going to push items into whatever direction it is facing. So as we can see here, using our arrows, this is a resource pack that I have installed, but it'll show when it's like this, it's going straight down, and then these arrows are going to indicate, oh, it's pointing that way into the block. Now, coming over here, let's talk about how it does collection. So we got ourselves some junk items, and what I'm going to do is we're just going to kind of just toss them in. You'll see that we have nothing. Chest. We're going to go ahead and we're going to just kind of throw some items in there. And as you can see, it will collect all of them pretty quick. It'll hold them there, and at 2.5 items per second, it will transfer or push those items into this chest. Now what we have here, I have an arrangement of hoppers in a circular pattern, making somewhat of a clock just to show that it will continue to push and pull those items if they are connected into a loop, and they will never stop unless you change it with redstone or another hopper. And our Bedrock exclusive, real quick, if we can just, that piston, we can push and pull these containers. This helps for doing shulker, loaders, unloaders, a few different nice contraptions later on down in your game playthrough. Using hoppers, we can create item transfer lines from, say, one building to another. In this case, we're just going over a few blocks, but we can transfer items from one container, and it's going to push and pull all the way into the output chest, or the end container. So as you can see here, items are going to transfer through. Very nice. And we can just see them slowly gather up. Now, of course, the same thing can be done vertically as well. And I did mention that these can be locked and unlocked if powered. So what makes hoppers different when it comes to redstone is that, so whenever we power a block, for example, this block is being powered right now. So it will continue on with a redstone signal, right? But with a hopper, it kind of works in reverse. So when a hopper is powered, it is actually locked, meaning nothing can go through it. When it is unpowered, it is unlocked and items can go through. So instead of saying powered and unpowered with hoppers, we typically tend to say locked and unlocked. It's a little bit easier to understand, and it just makes explaining the mechanics a bit better as well. But if we take a look here, we have our items inside the chest. The items are not going through the hopper. There is nothing here. And if we unpower this block, it's going to not unpower, but unlock this hopper here. Take a look. We can see that the items are now transferring through. All right, now remember what we mentioned about the direction that it transfers items. By default, so we can see if we didn't have this 2x4 of hoppers set up, then by default, the hoppers would just push all the way across until it, it stops, meaning it goes into this container. So we have items in here. We have ourselves our locked hopper. And where do you think those items are going to go? So by default, it'll push, but we also have items underneath. So remember what we said in the book, that it will prioritize pulling over pushing. So these hoppers are going to always pull from here before it can push that way. That's something to always keep in mind whenever you are creating redstone lines and doing item transfers, item storage systems, and whatnot. So as we can see here, the items are actually going across here and pulling down, then they're pushing over, and they're going to fill up into this chest. Once this is full, it'll fill up all of these. It will fill up here, then it'll push across that way. And once that gets full, it'll go up here, and then it'll push across that way. And then the final demonstration is, as I mentioned before, we can actually activate or turn on certain containers, such as brewing stands, furnaces. If you put hoppers inside of a furnace, going into the top, it will put in your ingredient. Going into the side of a furnace, it will put in your fuel. Now with a jukebox, it will actually put a disc into the jukebox, which I think is really cool. You can create all sorts of musical contraptions. When the song is done, this is, I believe, another Bedrock exclusive, is that the item will go into the hopper and you can configure it to come back up and make a looping musical track. So if we take a look here, using hoppers and a bit of chests, we can create a music system. Someone walks into their house and it can play the jukebox. You can play note blocks if you set them up with all bits of redstone, and etc. And that's going to be the end of How to Redstone Basics Part 5. Thank you all again so much for watching. This has been a great series. So we are actually at the very end of the basic segment for How to Redstone. And let me show you what that means real quick in a more visual demonstration. So if we come along over here, we started off, episode 1, we started off with the very basics, the dust, the torches, the buttons, etc. We progressed to more advanced circuitry, mechanics, different components of the redstone pieces. And so now that we've gone over pretty much all the basics, we're going to go into more advanced stuff. I know some of you have been very patient and wondering, hey, Timeless, when are we going to be doing more advanced stuff? Well, don't worry, because that is going to be very, very soon. We're going to dedicate an entire episode to the comparator, simply because there is so much going on with the comparator, and there's a lot of different things that we can show. And then from there, we're going to go into more practical applications of all of these pieces. We're going to go over machineries, contraptions, things like piston doors, burnout batteries, logic gates, things like that. Everything outside of the basic usage spectrum is going to be in the upcoming episodes. So stay tuned for that. Also, thank you, all of you, so very, very much. We are now at 100 subscribers. As of yesterday of filming this, we reached 100. And then 101. So that is a very great accomplishment. I thank all of you so much for following this channel and enjoying this content and sticking around so far. I am in the works on putting together a 100 subscriber special. So I hope you all will enjoy that when it arrives. Now, as far as the Redstone series, so if you want to see the entire basics playlist, there's going to be a video right next to me, right over there, that you can go ahead and click. It's right at the end of this video. Take a look at that, and you can catch up on all of the How to Redstone episodes. So until then, you all take care. Have an amazing day. Thank you all again so much for the support, and I will see you in the next episode.